the sixth season of the science fiction television series The X-Files commenced airing on the Fox network in the United States on November 8, 1998, concluding on the same channel on May 16, 1999, and contained 22 episodes. The season was the first to be filmed in Los Angeles, after production was moved from Vancouver, Canada. The season continued on from the 1998 feature film and focused heavily on FBI federal agents Fox Mulder and Anna Scully's separation from the X-Files, the assignment of new agents Jeffrey Spender and Diana Fowley to the division, and the demise of the Syndicate, a shadow government group attempting to cover up the existence of extraterrestrials, in the two-part episode Two Fathers, and One Son. Despite debuting with high viewing figures and ranking as the 12th most-watched television series during the 1998-99 television year, the season saw a slight decrease in ratings from the previous one, a trend that would continue until its final year. The season received mixed to positive reviews from television critics. Some critics and fans were alienated by the show, due to the different tone taken by most standalone episodes after the move to Los Angeles. Rather than adhering to the previous style of Monsters of the Week, they were often romantic, humorous, or a combination of both. Plot overview. In Washington, D.C., Agent Fox Mulder appears before an FBI panel regarding his experiences in Antarctica. Assistant Director Walter Skinner tells Mulder that he and Scully have been denied reassignment to the division. Mulder goes to his former basement office, only to discover that Jeffrey Spender and Diana Fowley have been assigned to the X-Files. Going against orders, Mulder and Scully track down an escaped alien in Phoenix, Arizona while the Smoking Man gives chase. Mulder and Scully eventually discover that the Smoking Man has been using Gibson praise to locate the creature. Scully brings Gibson to the hospital, where it is determined that he has the alien virus in his blood. Later, Skinner is mysteriously poisoned by a nanorobot infection. The culprit is revealed to be Alex Krycek, a rogue FBI agent who formerly worked for the Syndicate, who continues to control the potentially debilitating nanotechnology in Skinner's system in order to achieve his goals. Mulder and Scully later learn of reports of rebel aliens burning doctors who were working on Cassandra Spender, an alien abductee and mother of Jeffrey Spender. Skinner takes Spender to the scene, where Cassandra asks for Mulder. She informs Mulder and Scully that the aliens are here to destroy all life on Earth. She claims that a rebel force of aliens are mutilating their faces to prevent infection by the black oil. The Smoking Man reveals everything to Diana Fowley, who agrees to help him and betray Mulder. Cassandra later escapes from the hospital and arrives at Mulder's apartment, demanding that he shoot her because she is the embodiment of 50 years of work by the Syndicate, an alien-human hybrid that will trigger colonization if the aliens learn of her existence. Fowley arrives and forcibly takes Mulder, Cassandra, and Scully to a CDC facility at Fort Marlene. There, Mulder runs into Marita Covarrubias. Marita tells Mulder that she was subjected to Syndicate-run black oil vaccine tests. Meanwhile, the Syndicate rendezvous at a checkpoint, preparing to be taken away by the colonists, who are prepping for invasion. However, they are met by the alien rebels, who incinerate them all, including Cassandra. The Smoking Man and Fowley escape. Jeffrey Spender is then purportedly killed by the Smoking Man. Several months later, a metallic artifact with inscriptions is discovered on the beach of Cartierfa in Africa. After Mulder examines rubbings of the object, he begins suffering from a headache, seemingly caused by the rubbings. Mulder's condition worsens, but he gains telepathic abilities. Chuck Burks tells them that the symbols on the artifact are Navajo. Eventually, Mulder passes into an aggravated delusional state and is placed under observation at a hospital. Hoping to find an answer, Scully rushes to Africa and finds the massive wreck of a large spacecraft partially buried in the beach. Production. Background. After 5 successful seasons of The X-Files, series creator Chris Carter wanted to tell the story of the series on a wider scale, which ultimately meant creating a feature film, the 1998 X-Files movie. The film grossed $83,898,313 in the US and $105,278,110 abroad, giving a total worldwide gross of $189,176,423. In its opening weekend, showing at 2,629 theaters, it earned $30,138,758, which was 35.9% of its total gross. Initially, the fifth season of The X-Files was supposed to be the show's last. However, the series proved to be so lucrative for Fox that 2 additional seasons were ordered. Thus, the sixth season of the show began filming. Development. After 5 seasons in Vancouver, Canada, production of The X-Files moved to Los Angeles. The beginning was the first episode to be filmed in the new location. The move was instigated by David Duchovny, who portrayed Mulder, in order to ease his opportunity to find movie work as well as to give him a chance to be nearer to his wife, Tar copywriter Leonie. Series creator Chris Carter opposed the move, but Fox network officials eventually made the decision to film in California. Indeed, the very first shot of the episode A long look into the sun was intended by Carter to boldly announce the show's arrival in Southern California. As a result of the move, the episode featured a largely new group of crew members, hired by Carter, Frank Spotnitz and new co-executive producer Michael Watkins. The show's crew had to spend 5 weeks unpacking and cataloging material from the Vancouver film crew. Although the move was unpopular with some members of the cast and crew, both series director Kim Manners and actress Gillian Anderson supported the move, although less vocally than Duchovny. Many fans accused the show of Hollywoodizing by adding notable guest stars as well as making the plot simpler and more enjoyable for mass audiences. In addition, Space.com reported that many fans of show loved the moody ambience filming around Vancouver lent the series, during seasons 1-5, which the sixth season reportedly lacked. The move to Los Angeles also meant a drastic price increase for the series. Bruce Harwood, who played lone gunman John Fitzgerald Byers, noted, "At the time, the exchange rate between Canadian and US dollars was pretty dramatic. Somebody told me that the cost per episode doubled, even tripled, once they moved." In addition, the move further reduced the amount of expensive special effects the series was able to produce. Writer Vince Gilligan explained everything in Los Angeles is more expensive across the board. It became apparent very quickly to me that we were no longer going to have things such as nuclear submarines descending through the ice and trains exploding in the middle of the woods. Crew. Series creator Chris Carter also served as executive producer and showrunner and wrote 5 episodes. Frank Spotnitz was promoted to executive producer and wrote 5 episodes, and wrote the story for a further 2 episodes. Vince Gilligan was promoted to co-executive producer and wrote 7 episodes. John Shiban was promoted to producer and wrote 6 episodes, and wrote the story for 1 other episode. New writers in the 6th season included David Ammon, who joined as executive story editor and wrote 2 episodes, and Jeffrey Bell, who also wrote 2 episodes. Freelance episodes were written by Daniel Arkin and Jim Guttridge, and a further episode was written by Ken Harilli, who was the series' property master from 1993 to 1998. Cast member David Duchovny also wrote his first episode solo, as he previously collaborated with various writers, including Chris Carter, on 3 other episodes. Other producers included producer Paul Rabwin, co-producer Laurie Jo Nemhauser, and Bernadette Caulfield, who joined as producer. Producing directors for the show included producer Rob Bowman, producer Kim Manners, co-executive producer Michael Watkins, and consulting producer Daniel Sackheim, who together directed the bulk of the season's episodes. Manners directed 7 episodes, Bowman directed 6, Watkins directed 3, and Sackheim directed 1. Series creator Chris Carter directed 2 episodes, while cast member David Duchovny directed his first episode of the series. The remaining 2 episodes were directed by Peter Markle and Brian Spicer. Cast: the following actors and actresses appear in the season. Main cast: David Duchovny as Special Agent Fox Mulder, Gillian Anderson as Special Agent Anna Scully. Recurring cast equals. Also starring, Mitch Pileggi as Deputy Director Walter Skinner, Chris Owens as Jeffrey Spender, William B. Davis as Cigarette-Smoking Man, Nicholas Lee as Alex Krisek. Guest starring. Episodes marked with a double dagger are episodes in the series' Alien Mythology arc. Reception. Ratings. The sixth season of The X-Files debuted with the beginning on November 8, 1998. This episode earned a Nielsen rating of 11.9, with a 17 share, meaning that roughly 11.9% of all television-equipped households, and 17% of households watching television, were tuned into the episode. The episode was viewed by 20.34 million people, a marked increase from the fifth season's finale, The End, which was viewed by 18.76 million viewers. However, the debut marked a drastic decrease from the fifth season debut, Rudu, which garnered 27.34 million viewers. As the season continued, ratings continued to drop. The last episode of The X-Files to reach over 20 million viewers was The Rain King, which attracted 21.24 million. The season hit a low with the 18th episode, Milagro, which was viewed by 15.20 million viewers. The season finale, Biogenesis, earned a Nielsen rating of 9.4, with a 14 share, and was viewed by 15.86 viewers, marking a 22% drop in viewers when compared to the season premiere, and a 15.5% drop in viewers when compared to the previous season finale. The season ranked as the 12th most-watched television series during the 1998–1999 season, with an average of 16.39 million viewers. Reviews. The season received positive reviews from television critics. However, some fans were alienated by the show in its sixth season, due to the different tone taken by most standalone episodes after the move to Los Angeles. Rather than adhering to the previous style of Monsters of the Week, they were often romantic, humorous, or a combination of both. Several episodes of Dreamland, and The Rain King in particular were criticized for their reliance on humor or for their lighter stories. Fans on the internet began calling the less scary episodes X-Files light. Other episodes were derided for their mediocrity. Paula Vitaris from Cinefantastique called the episode Alpha a run-of-the-mill Monster of the Week episode. Robert Shearman and Lars Pearson, in their book Wanting to Believe, A Critical Guide to the X-Files, Millennium and the Lone Gunman, called the episode Trevor the X-Files at its most generic. However, not all the sixth season episodes were poorly received. The season's third episode, Triangle, was largely lauded as a masterpiece by critics. The episode, which was shot in real time to look like it was filmed in 4 uninterrupted 11-minute takes, was called a classic standalone episode and one of the highlights of Season 6. The Two Fathers/One Son story arc, which featured the destruction of the Syndicate, was called one of the most coherent, almost unbearably tense, hours in the series run by one critic. Finally, The Dutch of Nib and the Unnatural, which featured the story of an alien who fell in love with baseball, was praised by critics for its plot, directing, and originality. One review praised Dutch of Nib's directing excellence while another referred to its ending as heartbreaking. Accolades. The sixth season earned the series 8 Primetime Emmy Award nominations, with 1 win. It won for Outstanding Makeup for a Series for the episodes Two Fathers, and One Son. Gillian Anderson received her 4th and final nomination for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series, and Veronica Cartwright received her 2nd consecutive nomination for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series. Other nominations included Bill Rowe for Outstanding Cinematography for a Series, Mark Snow for Outstanding Music Composition for a Series, Heather McDougall for Outstanding Single-Camera Picture Editing for a Series, Outstanding Art Direction for a Series, and Outstanding Sound Editing for a Series. This was the final season the series received Golden Globe nominations, with Gillian Anderson, David Duchovny and the series as a whole receiving nominations. DVD release. Notes, cast information taken from Andy Meisler's 2000 book The End and the Beginning, the official guide to the X-Files Season 6. published by HarperCollins. The episodes were included in the DVD collection The X-Files Mythology, Volume 3 A Euro-Colonization, released by Fox. Biogenesis was viewed by 15.86 whereas The Beginning was viewed by 20.34 million viewers. Subtracting the two figures and then dividing them by 20.34 million, which represents the largest possible audience, yields a percent decrease of 22%. Biogenesis was viewed by 15.86 whereas The End was viewed by 18.76 million viewers. Subtracting the two figures and then dividing them by 18.76 million, which represents the largest possible audience, yields a percent decrease of 15.5%. This number is determined by adding up all the viewer numbers for Season 6 given in The End and The Beginning, the official guide to the X-Files, and finding the mean average. References. Footnotes Bibliography Hurwitz, Matt. Knowles, Chris. The Complete X-Files. Insight Editions. ISBN 1-933784-80-6. Kesenish, Tom. Examination, an unauthorized look at Season 6 (9) of The X-Files. Trafford Publishing. ISBN 1-55369-812-6. Meisler, Andy. The End and the Beginning, the official guide to the X-Files Season 6. HarperCollins. ISBN 0-06-107595-7. Meisler, Andy. Resist or Serve, the official guide to the X-Files, Volume 4. London, HarperCollins. ISBN 0-00-257133-1. OCLC 42005360. External links, list of the X-Files episodes at the Internet Movie Database, list of the X-Files episodes at TV.com.